After reading Zhang Ailing's novel Half-Life, I understand that when men choose a mate, they are far more realistic and self-interested than you think. Half a lifetime has several pairs of lovers, and their unions are all regrettable. There is no lovers finally get married as often performed in TV dramas. Maybe it's this that makes it feel more real, closer to life, and more unforgettable. Looking at the spouse selection situations of several men, we can conclude that when men don't get what they ask for, they will weigh the pros and cons, and will not be obsessed with the love between their children, but will decisively make the choice that is most consistent with reality. 1. Zhang Yujin. I have never forgotten Manlu. Zhang Yujin was Manlu's first love when she was a child. They were childhood sweethearts and childhood sweethearts. Both parents felt that they were a good match, so they arranged this marriage for them since childhood. Due to the unexpected death of Manlu's father, the backbone of the family was gone. Manlu took on the responsibility of supporting the family at a young age and became a dancer. Because of this, Manlu cruelly took the initiative to withdraw from the marriage. It took 10 years to do this. For 10 years, Manlu had no further contact with Yujin, until suddenly one day Yujin came to Shanghai from her hometown of Luan on official business. Yujin came to the Gu family and stayed at the Gu family for about half a month because of the force of Manlu's mother and grandma. During this half month, everyone has their own wishful thinking. Why do you say that? Because Mrs. Gu and grandma felt that Yujin was a talented person and young and promising, making him a rare and good son-in-law candidate. They felt that since Manlu was married to Zhu Hongkai, she and Yujin were not destined to be together. Then let Manzin continue this fate. And Yujin did develop a good impression of Manzin during this stay. At first glance, she thought she was the former Manlu. It can be seen that men who like a woman all like the same ideal type, not a specific person. Manzin was in love with Shijin at that time, and she rejected Yujin tactfully but firmly. After all, Yujin was also her sister's former lover. Manzin felt a little embarrassed. When Manlu learned that Yujin had come to the Gu family, she put on the purple cheongsam that Yujin liked her to wear the most and appeared in front of him. Everyone thought that Yujin had not gotten married for so many years just because of Manlu. Even Manlu herself thought so. Manlu stroked her arm and said quietly, "Actually, you shouldn't have come here. It's a rare trip to Shanghai, so you should have fun. I really hope you forget about me." Yujin found it difficult to answer her words. It can be seen here that in fact, Yujin no longer has Manlu in her heart, but Manlu still thinks that Yujin is waiting for her. Manlu looked at him with a smile and said, "You are still the same. Do you think I have changed?" Yujin smiled and said, "People always change, and I have changed too. My temper is different now. I don't know if it's because of my age, but thinking about what happened in the past, it's very childish and ridiculous." Not only did Yujin not take Manlu to heart, he even denied everything he had with Manlu, describing her as childish and ridiculous. When I saw this, I felt very sad for Manlu and felt that Yujin was too decisive. Manlu, who regarded Yujin as Bai Yuguang and the only untouchable beautiful memory in her heart, was rejected so easily. How desperate that must be. Manlu, who was forced by reality to become a dancer, is actually a woman who is very infatuated with love. On the other hand, Yujin was not like this. He knew that it was impossible for him to be with Manlu, but he didn't care about Manlu's feelings at all, didn't think about his past relationship, and still thought about pursuing his ex-girlfriend's sister. After his confession was rejected, he decisively pulled away and soon found a woman to get married. In the face of marriage, men are rational creatures. All choices are nothing more than weighing the pros and cons and making a self-interested decision after comparing the gains and losses. In many love stories, the beginning is to see who is more passionate than the other, and the ending is to see who is more unfeeling than the other. 2. Shen Shijin married Cuizhi, whom he didn't love. The pairing of Shijin and Manzin also made countless people sigh with regret. They were very close to each other when they were together. If Manzin hadn't insisted on saving money before getting married, they might have already gotten married. Once, Shijin and Manzin were walking on the street. Shijin suddenly remembered something he once said. There are many marriages where people who love each other cannot combine, and those who can are not the ones they love. It's really ironic. Manzin didn't believe it at the time. We won't be so unlucky, right? Unexpectedly, he hit the target with his words. Because Shijin disliked Manzin for being the dancer's sister, Manzin also refuted Shijin, thinking that his father, a client, was even more immoral. The two had a quarrel. Later, by mistake, Manzin was misunderstood by her sister and wanted to take away her sweetheart Yujin. She was framed by her sister's husband and her innocence was taken away. She was placed under house arrest for 10 months to give birth to a child. From then on, life was completely changed. After searching for Manzin to no avail, her beloved Shijin believed Manlu's words and concluded that Manzin had married Yujin. Not long after he turned around, he chose to marry Cuizhi, even though Cuizhi was not the one he loved. For 10 months, Manzin fantasized about Shijin coming to rescue her every day, and how she would tell him about her experiences after she got out. Looking back at Shijin, he found the most suitable marriage partner so quickly. What an irony. When it comes to marriage, men are really more realistic than women. There is a famous saying that love begins with romance, ends with marriage, and is buried in reality. 3. Fang Yupeng. You can pretend to love someone for the sake of dignity. There is another couple in the book, Fang Yupeng and Du Wangshan, who don't write much. Cuizhi was originally engaged to Fang Yupeng through the help of her family. But since they returned from a trip to Qingliang Mountain together, Cuizhi took the initiative to break off the engagement. Because Cuizhi pretends to be Shu Hui in her heart, she hopes to give Shu Hui another chance and hopes that he will take the initiative. Fang Yupeng's family and Cuizhi's family were both well-known and wealthy families, so their engagement was openly annulled like this, which was a bit unfair in terms of their reputation. So he made a pretense and said that he found out that the person he loved was actually Wangshan. He found Shijin and said this to him. Yipeng said a little ashamedly, "Really? You don't believe it? I am more confused than anyone else. In fact, I am not in love with Cuizhi, I'm in love with Wangshan. I don't know it." Soon he married Wangshan. It is obvious here that Fang Yupeng does not really love Wangshan at all, but just wants to save his face in front of relatives and friends. It can be seen that for the sake of dignity, a man can pretend to love someone and even marry her. Kotoko Kawanishi once said, in fact, men are more realistic products than women. Women's reality is on their lips, but men's reality is hidden in their hearts. Looking at the men throughout the text, whether it is Yujin and Shijin who we think are more infatuated, or Yupeng who feels unreliable, when facing marriage, they are actually realistic. That is, selfish. Maybe when we watch TV or novels, we subconsciously hope that people will be loyal to each other and never leave the hero or heroine. But reality is reality after all. We cannot live in fairy tales, and people cannot live in illusory waiting forever. This is also the charm of Zhang Ailing's article, which portrays human nature so truly and profoundly.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.